Oh, hello, everyone. Hope you are all doing fantastic and that I am speaking directly into the mic. I just want to one, say hello. Name Kevin Dublin, and co-director along with Tim Putnam, who should should say a quick say it. Give a wave, Tam. I'll pass it to Tam in a second, but I just wanted to just say up top how it just amazing it is to be I'm saying here, but here live with you now. Being able to bring and host and help usher so many talented writers and their work that you're about to hear. So we, the Elder Project are at a couple of different, sites across the Bay Area, San Francisco Campus for Jewish Living, at the Caillou Community Center, through Community Living Campaign, Downtown Oakland Senior Center, as well as that whole network, and at the Dr. George Davis Senior Center. So yeah, you're going to be hearing writers who will be sharing works from across multiple genres, that have been brought to that have come forth from prompts and from lessons taught by teaching artists, teach across the program, Anthony Gary, Michelle Kitcher, Tarita McKell, Christine No, Lucy Pereira, Tam Putnam, Denise Sullivan, Mary Gail, MG Thomas, who I'll be reading today, and myself. And so yeah, just want to give like a giant thanks to all the teaching artists, give a giant thanks to all the site directors, Jesse Cutter, Rob and Jeffrey over at SFCJL, and just everyone who has been a part and continues to be a part of, of everything that's going on. I'm gonna pass to the co-director Tam, say a few words, and then we're gonna get started.
Hi, I know we want to hear the readers, but I just wanted to say a couple words, which are I've been coming with Litquake's Elder Project to the San Francisco Campus for Jewish Living, where we are right now, since 2018. And in every class I've been astonished by the accumulation of history and the understanding of what it means to be a human over a long span of time. The wonderful Bernice Palmer, who was a resident of skilled nursing here at SFCJL, said in a Litquake class when she was 101 that she had so much still to do. So I just want to encourage all the elders to, like her, keep writing. There's so much to say about life as a 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 something. And I'd also just like to say, to give a big thanks to our amazing teachers who've really made a rich connection with each and every one of their students. So our first reader, who is in the Community Living Campaign class, is Grace Donka. Take it away, Grace.
I just want to say thank you to the wonderful teachers, Kevin, Anthony, Jesse, Tam, Denise, and wonderful to be here today. This is called Queen Casey. She used to sing off-key forte, some silly song we were surprised she knew. She used to sing in front of the lace curtains overlooking the parking lot and the leaning eucalyptus tree I feared would collapse the house that El Nino. She used to sing fortissimo in her red shirt with pastel hearts from Goodwill, always wrinkled. She was 4 and it didn't matter then. I wanted to know how it would end. It's a big house now with too many rooms for two. How did they end up in a suburb in the first house built on open land? He from a flat above a cigar store, commuter stormed every weekday morning. She with a tidy little house with a screen. She from a tidy little house with a screen porch where her mother made May altars and prayed the sorrowful rosaries during Lent. She can only reach the bottom shelf now. Her crooked spine will not allow her to drag a chair to reach for the tin of dreams on the second shelf. She goes without, puts on her red-rimmed glasses so she won't step on the shards of hope that fell on the thick blue carpet when he died. This is a holiday prompt from Denise. I wish, and it's for my grandson. I wish you water when you thirst and curiosity when you don't know the question and can't find the answer in the toolbox, and to keep swimming, to learn to dive deep and come up wise. I wish you food when you need it that doesn't make you sick or sleepy, that inspires you to know who was the cook and why did they move their hands in this language. I wish you words to show you, words to reach, to wear when you feel shy, to show comfort, to stop hurt. Words only you can say. I wish you smiles to show straight teeth instead of the rick-rack teeth now. Smiles always when you see me or hear my voice. I wish you a cat and maybe a dog to teach you tenderness, to help you learn what doesn't last, and to keep you whole when you're alone. Do what you're good at, what needs to be done, even if you're not the star. Do it because Grandpa did. Do it because he never did, because he didn't live long enough to see it, dream it, know it could be possible. And last one, who will get me now? Too many gone. Who will get me now? Who will laugh till it hurts on the phone across the country over nothing anyone else could understand? Who will appreciate the gain-loss column of my life, walk in tandem with me? Who will take a cherry pie to my father alone now in the house where we danced in the basement forever ago? Who will ask me to carry her casket down the steps of our college chapel between her brothers? Who will get me now when too many are gone? Thank you. And then Helen. Thank you.
Wow, that's a hard act to follow. I'm Helen Dannenberg, and I'm from San Francisco, CLC. The vase. My mother, the vase, somehow synonymous, a family object, but really my mother. It stood on the big wooden television cabinet in our living room. 4 white cylinders, different heights, breakable. The bottom stamped, made in Czechoslovakia. In the past, held flowers, now remains protected in the box, used 2 years ago for the move down here. Not out on the bookshelf by its lone self, prey to earthquakes and slippery fingers. I see the box, know it's there, precious, very precious. Use it for flowers now? Never. I'm terrified of handling it. I get the breaksies, days when everything drops out of my hands. Best to handle only plastic those days. Writing makes me aware of how very little I know about my parents and their things. Where was the vase bought? Who chose it? How much did it cost? Whom can I bequeath it to? I know people with children who don't want their parents' specials. I envision a big dumpster when I die with everything I own tossed in. Unsettling thought. But still, I keep writing, making assemblages, learning to draw. The big indulgence, allowing myself to buy a book. This is called Windows. So different views. Be serious. but make fun of yourself first before someone else does. Far away in space and time are the ghosts of other windows I have known. Contours have curves. Curves are softer. Here, so many hard edges. Use putty to soften, perhaps. Let lived life make contours. Self-judgment is hard-edged. Feel it. Let it form like a puddle after the sun warms it. Jump in with your galoshes on. This I call contact. Every night a call. Some contact every night. Could be relied on. Comforting. Awkward sometimes. It was his idea. The me at that time would never have suggested such a thing. Never. Would not have had the nerve. He said it was my idea. I thought it was a good idea. His. Wanted him to have the credit. At the end of the call, he would say, I love you. He would do that. Was that part of the original idea? I don't remember. March, he will be gone 4 years. The years fly as they drag as they fly. The science fiction world we live in completely confounds me. What would he think? Would we continue together? Would we continue the nightly call? Thank you.
Very nice.
Hi, I'm Mark DeWitt from the Downtown Oakland Senior Center. And a couple poems for you. First one is after a poem by Susan Elizabeth Howe, What is a Grackle? This one is called What is a Cross? What is all the fuss about? A couple of lines that cross a bit above the middle at a right angle. A swastika minus the outer lines, but then the lines acquire a third dimension, and that's where the trouble begins, with a story. Lines become beams and beams become lashed together to support the lashed. The last person you would ever think would become an everlasting hero. Believers can tell you the rest. If I call that number, I get no answer. Vertical plus horizontal equals hysterical. Burning in the front yard. So he went down to the crossroads, got down on his knees, got nailed in the crosswalk, listened to the crosstalk, and got no answers except vertical plus horizontal equals homicidal. The old rugged cross went onward, marching off to war, going on as before. A wit once said to never trust a man with two first names. It stands therefore to reason not to trust a sign with two straight lines. I'll not die on that hill, but the story never dies. In the shadow of the cross, I will rest, says the hymn, but not me, not now, not ever. Second one's called Return. Apologies offered in advance. My mind won't dance with flowers. The names, the colors, the shapes, all a blur to me. Do nasturtiums come in white? How should I know? All I know is, in a total eclipse, all goes black. The sun comes back, light returns, bright as what people see near death. Everything returns to the one, but to what does the one return? Whatever or whoever you are on the spectrum of shade and hue, sooner or later, everything recesses inexorably to you. Even the museum items from time immemorial, the mummies, the mastodons, the moon rocks. What color then is stardust?
Good afternoon. My name is Paula Shadle. I'm also from the Downtown Oakland Senior Center, and I'd like to read a short story today about how my grandparents met in 1908. It's called The Street Booth. Nettie and Wanda sold cigars and chocolate at their street booth in downtown Chicago. The sisters practiced their English with the customers, but had lively conversations in German to pass the time in between. Most of the passersby were recent immigrants from Eastern Europe. They had fled hunger after the collapse of the Polish-Lithuanian Empire. The city was crammed with younger sons who would never inherit, and daughters who had been brought along as cheap labor and hoped to marry up. Nettie had no such prospects. A childhood accident had broken her back and it healed crooked. So she amused herself by making up names for the more colorful young bachelors who stopped by. For example, Nettie named one young man Herr Turkey Legs due to his unfortunately skinny legs. Herr Red Cabbage Man had russet hair that he slicked down with oil and a sour expression reminiscent of a startled ferret. Nettie was the first to notice that Herr Hot Dog, the German sausage maker, was coming by often. He had arrived only in 1907. He had a large smile and booming laugh and would stop by and buy a cigar. Both sisters agreed his English was perfectly awful. I think Herr Hot Dog likes you, Wanda, Nettie said one day after Herr Hot Dog left the stand. He had stayed a while to chat with Wanda. Well, he is a nice gentleman, very handsome and quite tall, Wanda mused, but he has a dreadful smoking habit. Look how he buys a cigar nearly every day. And he has such a greenhorn, so inexperienced in city ways. And he is 2 years younger than I am. Well, Wanda, he doesn't know that, said Nettie. Sure enough, Herr Hot Dog was there the very next day. He ignored Nettie and waited patiently for Wanda. With a playful glint in her eyes, Nettie ventured, "My goodness, sir, you do buy a lot of cigars." Herr Hot Dog turned red. He explained the cigars were for a friend. He didn't smoke. Suddenly, Wanda was smiling and chatting attentively. Soon she learned that he was from the Rhineland, the 10th child, and without inheritance. Also Lutheran, like her. Her eyes danced as they gazed into his. His face lit up like a candle, and he stayed a long time. No doubt he would be back the next day, cigar or no cigar. After he left, Wanda turned on her sister. "Please stop calling him Herr Hot Dog, Nettie," she warned. "His name is Wilhelm." Nettie leaned back in her chair and laughed knowingly. And that is how my grandparents met and why my grandmother suddenly became 4 years younger.
Wow. Hi, everybody. I'm Barbara Tuma. I'm from the downtown Oakland Senior Center. And I have 3 short poems. The first one's called The Portrait. Hot pink feathered hat, perched on a mop of wavy dark hair, big blue eyes staring like the saucer eyes of a Cheshire cat, a nose shaped in classical mode, Roman to the core, lips slim but sensuous, pink lipstick to match the hat, one gloved hand, royal blue, resting on her rosy cheek, picture matted in chalk white hue, surrounded by a metallic silver frame, a quirky version of an eccentric woman. Next one's called In the Hospital. They prayed for me, circles of knowing people, others strangers who cared about God. I asked God to take me, but he wouldn't comply. I wasn't ready yet, he said. Didn't want me then and doesn't want me now. My former self is the last one. I mourn my former self. My continuous motion in a perpetual dance, a traveling muse to far off places, sparkling eyes, spangled earrings, verve for life, enthralled by new experiences. I crave this lost self. I want her back. Return to me, O wondrous woman, in spirit, if not in body. Meld the two into one. Thank you.
No, me? No. Okay. Wait.
Hi, everybody. I'm Freddie Axe, part of the group here at Frank Residences. This piece that I wrote is called A Love Match with a question mark. A street in the poor port of Baltimore on a hot summer day. A handsome young man stands outside a tobacco shop, leaning against a store window. Several of his friends are nearby, engaged in conversation, but he's not interested. He looks in profile like Rudolph Valentino, and he knows it, adjusting his slouch to increase the effect as he puffs on his cigarette. Nearby, a slightly chubby young girl stands with another group, but her gaze frequently turns toward that cigarette store. She's holding a bag of large, sweet green grapes, and she plucks one and holds it between her teeth before she chews on it. She's wearing a light-colored cotton dress that moves in the summer breeze as she stands there, wisps from her curly mop of hair sticking to her forehead and neck. She takes the 3 steps toward the young man, who is watching her now intently. "Would you like a grape?" she says, wondering if she looks like Theda Bara as she straightens her dress with her hand. He smiles, flicks the cigarette like Valentino would have, and accepts the grape. This is how my parents met. I have little knowledge about them at that period in their lives, their living conditions, their daily existence. They were each from families with 10 children, my father the eldest in his, my mother the youngest in hers. Their families arrived in Baltimore at the turn of the century, and they both considered themselves Americans. I don't know how they continued their relationship or when they got married. I remember hearing something about a trip to Ellicott City, Maryland, a town famous for instant weddings, but I really can't connect it to the 2 of them. There must have been a time when they displayed affection for one another, but by the time I was old enough to notice, their only form of discourse was argument. If divorce was as available and acceptable as it is now, I'm sure I would not be here to write about this. To Stuart. Okay. Uh-oh.
1 second.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. My name is Esther Mugar, and I'm going to read you a true story. Necessity is the mother of invention. It was early evening when the steamer docked in Yokohama. For some time, I had watched the glow of the city lights grow brighter on the dark horizon as the voyage from Siberia came to an end. This city was huge, overwhelming after the restful train ride spanning several days and 4 time zones between Moscow and Nahatka, which was the only eastern port of the USSR open to foreigners at that time. There followed a sea crossing to Yokohama. I was nervous. Japan was bustling and expensive and very, very foreign. Sorry, there's a telephone ringing. Okay. I'm sorry. I was a weary backpacker with limited funds, which shrank by the day as the yen climbed against the dollar. I had 3 weeks to go before my flight home to San Francisco. I had sublet my apartment to a Japanese student studying English. Her friend Johnny, who had recently returned to Yokohama, agreed to meet me at the dock. How would I find him in this crowd? Would he even come? As my eyes scanned the throng, I heard my name shouted out, and there he was, waving frantically in his Mickey Mouse shirt. My nervousness turned to joy as I disembarked. Johnny was as excited as I was and gave me a crash course in this foreign culture, showing me how to walk through the crowds, how to find small unmarked eateries with good cheap food, how to negotiate transit, and how to find street addresses. The building numbers went around each block. By the following day, I felt confident enough to head for Tokyo, the address of a student hostel in hand. The hostel was clean but basic, with dorm rooms for each gender and a traditional bathroom for each. The only other females in residence were a group of teenage students. One was preoccupied with pressing her pleated skirt under her mattress, and two others with applying makeup. But I was by far the biggest attraction. It's doubtful that they had ever seen naturally curly hair gone wild before, and they were clearly impressed. There was much giggling and pointing until I invited them to comb it and watch it spiral back on itself. That broke the ice, but not enough for me to share a traditional bath with them. I waited until they were asleep to get clean. The bathroom had water spigots spaced along the walls about a foot above the cement floor, with a bucket and a tiny stool by each. The idea was to soap up, then fill your bucket from the spigot to rinse off. Only when clean could you get in the communal pool to soak. The soak was glorious, and I slept like a baby that night. But the next day, I knew that I would have to wash my hair. But how? After breakfast, I had a little walk around the neighborhood. When I returned, the gardener was watering the grounds. His hose was cracked and leaking. As I watched, he cut the hose at the crack and left about 2 feet to dispose of later. In my well-practiced pantomime, I asked if I could have the remnant. He handed it to me with that crazy American look I had seen many times before. I ran my treasure inside. The girls were gone. The bathroom was all mine. And wouldn't you know that the end of that hose fit the spigot perfectly, and I was able to shampoo all the grime of the past week out of my naturally curly hair. I carried that hose with me all through the country. Many adventures followed, but I always had clean hair. Necessity is the mother of invention. Thank you.
Who's that good looking guy?
Say who you are.
My name is Stu Spann. I'm from Frank Residence. My story is the War of Wars, nature versus humans. Mother Nature has been on Earth way before humans and has had a beautiful, well-balanced life. Then humans came and encroached on nature by building large cities, freeways, parks. They have polluted our rivers, oceans, and lakes. They have destroyed many of forests that was home to trees hundreds of years old. They have destroyed air, nature, and humans need to survive. But Mother Nature does not take this lying down. It retaliates by causing earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, disease, climate control, and other horrific things. With Mother Nature, don't mess with Mother Nature, or she will bite you in your royal ass. Nature has been my education and my work. It is my life and my religion. My savior is Mom Nature.
Okay. My name is Michael Thaler. I am from the San Francisco campus for Jewish Living. This was written in response to a prompt, which I think was something like a funny, memorable experience from your past. So this is called My German Lesson. At the end of World War II, my parents and I found ourselves in a displaced persons camp for Holocaust survivors near Linz, the capital of Upper Austria, renowned as Hitler's hometown before that fateful year of 1945. Father had been elected treasurer of the board of that governed the camp. Mother helped with retraining the younger women for employment. I was left free to hang out with a handful of other unsupervised children. This ideal arrangement, from my perspective, lasted for more than a year, but shortly after my bar mitzvah in the camp's recreation barracks, Father confronted me. As far as I can tell, you have nothing better to do all day but play soccer with a rag ball in the street. Soon you'll turn into a hooligan. What's a hooligan? I countered to change the subject. Next morning, Mother dressed me in my Sabbath outfit, white shirt, long pants, polished black shoes. I asked, what's up? And Father cut in, peering closely at me over the top of his glasses. I've made arrangements. Instead of going to the office today, I'm taking you to a school in the city. I was intimidated, having never attended any school before, but as a budding hooligan, I didn't let on how I felt. We got off the bus in front of a 3-story stone edifice with Realschule, sort of a high school, carved above the entrance over the trace of a recently removed swastika. Father and I mounted the wide spiraling stairs to the top floor. We entered a large, well-lighted room lined with bookshelves that rose to a lofty ceiling. A gray-haired man emerged from behind a massive desk, smiling at us under an enormous mustache that made him look like Kaiser Franz Josef in my stamp collection. They spoke in German, not a word of which I understood. At last, they shook hands and we left. You are now enrolled as a Gastschüler, a guest student, announced Father after we left the building. Just sit in the back, keep your ears open and your mouth shut, and you will begin to understand what's going on and learn. But I don't speak German, I pleaded. Father nodded. Don't worry, the principal arranged a tutor who will give you lessons in German twice a week. The tutor was once a top Nazi, so they can't employ him officially, but the principal assured me he's an excellent teacher. Great, I said. Great, I replied. He'll teach me all about Hitler. The tutor and I met Tuesdays and Thursdays in a vacant chemistry lab. We perched on stools and leaned against lab benches with black formica tops. The tutor was younger than Father, very elegant and formal. Every Tuesday, you will hand in a composition, which I will return on Thursday with a grade, corrections in red ink, he announced slowly and distinctly in German, which I just as slowly and fuzzily deconstructed. Sat in the back, attracting over-the-shoulder glances from curious other students. This process went on for 3 months. My German improved, and I was beginning to match the students' faces with their names. but my composition continued to bleed red ink and earn grades of nicht genügend, unsatisfactory. At last came a Thursday when there was less red ink on the page and a single word below the text, genügend, satisfactory. Does this mean we can stop these lessons? I asked. He nodded. Hooray, I shouted. Sehr genügend, very satisfactory. He wagged a finger stained with red ink at me. You don't understand. This is truly a great day for you. Kommen Sie mit, come with me. Down the winding stairs, 4 floors, we crept into a dark, dank cellar. The tutor turned on a naked bulb encased in cobwebs. Shelves bearing mildewed volumes of student records marked with a year on each line ran along the rough-hewn stone foundation of the ancient building. He pulled out a tome dated 1904. Da, lesen Sie, here, read. My Nazi tutor pointed to an entry in a yellowed page that reeked of mold. Adolf Hitler, deutsche Sprache, nicht genügend, I read. Adolf Hitler, German speech, German composition, unsatisfactory, I read. Congratulations, beamed my tutor, clicking his heels. Today, your German is superior to the Führer. I slept in next Tuesday morning. When my bewildered mother shook me awake, I announced, I don't need to go to school anymore. I speak German better than the Führer. My mother said, who's the Führer? Hitler, I shouted. The look on my mother's face, I bear with me to this day.
Oh, fantastic. So we have, let's just take a moment and just give it up for all the readers so far who are coming in. Give some celebrations. Yeah, just such amazing work. So we have reading split into 2 sections. There's writers who are coming in live from Frank residences at San Francisco campus for Jewish living, and then we have some other writers who are from multiple sites. We have some other writers who are joining via Zoom from Cuyahoga Connectors and Downtown Oakland Senior Center, and just wanted to just take a brief moment. If you're all as kind of moved as I am, and you're watching this, whether it's live or whether it's recording, Graham mentioned at the top that it's as a donor funded, program. And so if you go to litquake.org, litquake.org, and at the bottom there's a little button that says support us. You can make a donation, and with that donation, help contribute to keep this programming going, to be able to expand to other sites. In fact, if you are at a site and you're like, well, these writers are amazing and these stories are amazing, which they are, and you do feel that way, then what you can do is reach out and let's figure out how we can help mine other stories and give voice to and space for more elder stories. So yeah, you can go there, make a donation. There's this programming that's happening around in terms of the classrooms. There's this reading that happens here. There's tons of other places where you can find these writers, like through whether it's Cosmic Elders and the Older Writer Lab and beyond. In fact, there's actually I won't go into that. But what I will say is next month, you'll also be able to find them in our first cross-site anthology. And so stay tuned, litquake.org for that as well. So yeah, we're going to continue on with the second set of readers. And we're gonna begin with a set of readers who are coming from Cayuga Connectors of the Community Living Campaign. And I'm gonna pass it on to you, Doris.
Hello, I'm Doris Beers. I have 3 poems and I'm waiting for the host. There we go. The first one is Just 3 Knocks. Just 3 knocks, plain, no special rhythm. I know no one is there. The first time, I dream of padding barefoot through the dark house, listening and watching, hoping for and against an answer. I learned to navigate my dreams years ago. I woke again and again into the same horror until I could force myself to speak or scream. The knocks strike dread each time, like portents in a Victorian novel. I sit motionless, not daring to breathe, assuming I am awake. What if I've got it wrong, how death happens? If I often cannot tell whether I'm awake or asleep, how will I know when the enemy in my bones has done its worst or its best? The next one is called The Wrong Journey. This apparently auspicious beginning has become a disorienting stutter step. An enterprise not started well is bound to fail. This will fail. I needed to fail more slowly, with fewer stops and starts than others I have held watch over. And now I hover at a threshold. I fret that my seer and hers both declaim the deadly 10-year promise. It hangs like a challenge to the liminal gods. Can I be alert and open, try for trusting or wise? Each day brings another nugget of maybe for my net that I must trade for small spangled measures of hope. Optimism is worth a planetary itch. I know how this ends, that is not in question. Just the how and the when, and how hard the in-between. And this is Sunday after midnight. I turn away from the old poets tonight. I miss the rain. But one blunt word in one short stanza reminds me, I miss the fog and the damp dirt, of something buried deep, of the joyous abandon of stepping into the rain, face to the sky, drenched, choosing to be one with the cool and damp. Not to show anyone that I am fun or any of the other ways men say available or not marriage material, though both are right. But even in my married mother days, that step into the wild was bliss, and bliss just for me. I did not care if anyone joined in. I preferred no audience, no one going along to try a taste of free or silly, or however they read the text. I missed the kidney-cutting wind at the base of the city's too tall, too square towers, in the too soon dusk, sliding in from the hills and the sea, multiplied and aimed, slamming the unwary, staggered by its force, struggling to the train, to the bus, home. I miss the rain, my enveloping fog, my kidney-cutting wind, my hands full of dark, wet dirt, like the moon that once lit up my room improbably at 5 a.m. in winter. Thank you for the opportunity to read.
Hello, I am Joe Oshab, and I am going to read a piece that was inspired by a Litquake class earlier this year, but the topic itself more representative of my pre-COVID social evenings. I've entitled it Dancing with the You and the I in a Duet of Silent Conversation. One peers into the room with more than mild anticipation. Then perhaps you take a deep breath and confidently walk in, half hiding your true feelings and state of mind. You hope no one will notice that you are a relative newcomer to the art, or are rusty since you have not kept up with it. You seriously want to fit in and do well in this class. It's a strong human desire, something you felt when facing previous kinetic and memory challenges. Relax, stay positive, have fun, you tell yourself. After all, it's just a college gym, less intimidating than a club. There are no dire consequences if you fail to dance well or receive any disapproving looks from others in the room. Then you spot someone who appears to be the dance instructor talking with other neophytes or perhaps more advanced students. You don't know what their level of dance training and competency truly is, much less their expectations for the students. But there are many there around the room with smiling as well as pensive faces. You decide to put on your best smile and make eye contact with anyone who seems familiar or potentially open to meeting someone new. When the opportunity arises, you approach the dance instructor, say hello, and give them your name. They greet you in turn. Welcome. You look somewhat familiar. Have you taken social dances classes here before? You reply, and your name is checked off their pre-registration list. The instructor seems personable and empathetic. You only hope that their instructional pacing approach is not based on the skill level displayed by the majority of the students present. It should be digestible, of course, yet you don't wish to be bored and held back either. You are serious about improving your ballroom dancing. Your attention now shifts back to the other students, mainly couples who are confidently dancing to their own tunes and dance styles of the music overhead. Initially, you view their facile dancing with fascination, admiration, or envy. But you soon scrutinize their specific movements to recall steps that you thought you had already mastered, but you cannot fully duplicate in your mind's eye. Oh, I forgot the steps to that tune, you mutter softly to yourself. As additional dance students enter the room, you spot someone that you recall having seen or met at a previous dance class or club. You approach them, introduce yourself, and chat briefly. And if they don't appear to be there with a significant partner, you may even invite them to practice dance with you, to the music playing throughout the room. Wonderful, you say after they agree. And together you head over to the middle of the floor to share a foxtrot, waltz, cha-cha, or East Coast swing before the class actually begins. At this stage, you lighten up more and ask your accommodating partner a few more questions about themselves and their dancing history while you dance with them. Being a kind and considerate dancer, you smile and compliment them on their dancing. You might even get them to smile. You're tempted to suggest that they both go dancing outside of class sometime, but you don't want to appear too bold or off-putting. So you decide to defer making that offer or suggestion until a later time. All of it is part of the dance. The overall social interaction ebbs and flows in many ways. And as the initial music ends and the instructor announces the beginning of the class, you thank your partner. And you may fervently hope that you remember their name when you dance with them again, perhaps later during the class, as the instructor firmly but sweetly announces, change partners, please. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Ellen Shoemaker, and I have two pieces for you. The first one is summer 1957, Bunker Hill Air Force Base. We park at the end of the runway under a star-spattered sky. We wait, we talk, we make out, smoke cigarettes, turn to the radio, and hum along. A mild whine joins in. We leave the car. A barely visible KC-135 grows as it thunders forth. The whine becomes ear-shattering. Black emissions spew. The strato tanker heaves up. The powerful shriek judders our bones. We scream, we hug, we jump up and down, we stop. The air crackles and fizzes. Static electricity lifts every hair. Crickets chirp. Mosquitoes sing. We climb into the car to avoid their bite. We wait. This next one is called Why I Write. I want to talk to that girl who last minute didn't jump off the bridge. I want to hear from that survivor who tossed her revolver from the deck of the Angel Island ferry into San Francisco Bay. I want to know why, after staying for all that abuse, she escaped, and how she did it. I want her to say by what mediation she forgives herself and all the people who wanted her to do or not do what she did or didn't. Is she scared? What miry bumper shields her? How does she smile every day, expect the best from every tribulation, and learn from every lesson? Did she find a probity that stayed true? Did the infallible wisdom of the universe bedazzle her? Will she hold me in her heart, no matter what? Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm MG Thomas. I have two pieces. The first one, the prompt was earliest association with water, which I call Water is Life. I'm sitting on a beach somewhere in Mexico with my parents. I'm 5 years old, wearing a simple blue one-piece swimsuit. I sit on the wet sand, looking out towards the ocean, an inconceivably large body of water. It would be years before I could begin to understand how huge that ocean was. The waves come toward me, but don't touch me, and then recede back, only to repeat this time and time again. Had I ever seen a wave before? Surely not. Growing up in the Texas desert, the closest thing to a wave I ever saw was in a bathtub. But here I was, covered in suntan lotion, the sand and I both warmed by the sun, and looking at an endless expanse of water. Again and again, the waves encroach closer and closer. I cry out, "Oh no," when it recedes. When it returns, I say, "Here it comes." And when it finally sloshes over my outstretched legs, I shriek as only a 5-year-old child can in utter joy, and I laugh and laugh. 60 years later, the ocean spoke to me in a poem. I see you, girl. You've come back to me again. When I saw you that first time, when my waves licked at your feet, I knew I had you. You will always come back to me. We don't need words. You stare and drink me up without touching me, enraptured. My waves don't bore you like others. Calmly, you gaze at the horizon, then back to the shore, where I can tickle your feet again. Each wave is different. Every splash is new to your eyes. but my sounds are the same, the same, the same. Sweet predictability. And the second one is Ode to a Cocktail. I lean back in the deck chair, the rubber webbing pressing against the back of my legs, and I take in the glorious heat from the sun, a treat so rare in San Francisco. Sunglasses are mandatory today. Soon, my relaxation is happily interrupted by a cheery waiter handing me the nectar of the gods. I take the chilled glass into my hand, even enjoying the small slosh of sweet, sticky liquid over my fingers. I admire the accessories that adorn the drink. On one side, a small wedge of pineapple, speared by a toothpick, is topped with a bright red cherry. On the other side of the rim, a bright yellow paper umbrella with red blossoms is balanced on the edge of the glass in a hopeless battle to protect the ice below from the sun's rays. I thank the umbrella for his duty and toss him to the side. He was just in the way. I take a moment to appreciate the never seen in nature electric blue of the drink, choosing not to think about what really creates that color. And as my thirst can wait no longer, I raise the glass to my lips. I drink deeply, once, twice. I pull the glass away with a small sigh and appreciate the fit of its hourglass curve in my hand. I close my eyes, lean back into the deck chair, and consider my next beverage choice.
Hi, I'm Roger Underhill. And this is Untitled. Years of Litquake shaped my writing. A little synopsis, but too many New York City and countryside memories to recount now. Scuba diving in our oceans, navigating the forests of society, exploring the depths of our history, decrying the demise of our and many democracies, railing against our constitutional corporatocracy, the opposite of England's constitutional monarchy, calling for human and nature's rights, education, healthcare, housing, food and social services, not most spending on military dominance and solutions that are counterproductive, just as a horrific atrocity shouldn't be answered with the revenge of many atrocities, but with appropriate actions and humanitarian considerations. Along with the Jewish Voice for Peace, I call for a ceasefire in Israel and Palestine and an end to apartheid. So you can see more of my writing in the upcoming Litquake Senior Anthology. Thank you.
Second, audio. Tana, I think you're muted.
Hannah, can you unmute yourself? Can you unmute?
Okay. Ready?
Great. That's good. We can hear you.
Okay. My name is Tana Balia. I'm a member of the Downtown Oakland Center, and I'm a painter and a poet. Okay, here's the first one. When I dance, the lights are out when I dance. The world disappears when I dance. My mind stills, nothing exists but the music when I dance. Sound moves through me when I dance. Dipped by the deity when I dance. I howl at the moon when I dance, whirling round and round when I dance. Reaching, jumping, crying, dance. Swirling, twirling, leaping, dance, growing springs on my feet, dance. I shimmy, sweating like a mother giving birth, and I do it over and over again when I dance. No stopping now. Hunger lifting my arms, moving my feet, reaching for God. Exotic rhythms pulsating through my body, consuming me again and again until I'm no more. When no one's looking, all alone, free to be me, I close the doors to the world. No one can see me, hear me, or touch me when I dance. Okay, the second one. If there is a God, let me write. If there is a God, let me write. I need to let go, to open the flow, watch my mind make fertile the soil from a barren field. If there is a God, let me write, to witness my heart dance again, tender before my eyes. Say yes and set this racehorse free to meander in the field of wonder, using a pencil like a soldier wielding a sword, moving hot into battle. If there is a God, let me write, to make a formless spirit blossom. Turn on the spigot of moonlight, release the roses and thorns of thought, to take note as the whole cosmos conspires to put me here in this very second to witness the field unwinding under my fingertips. If there is a God, let me write, as I travel the rocky road home, to watch the sunshine of my heartbeat drive my pencil into meaning. And there's one more. Mommy. Space between the words, tangy, never-ending sunrise spark, igniting life by the stroke of a key, mommy. Clicking her melodies on the floor with high heels, sitting to stroke the piano with fingers wide, petite sweet flash of light, mommy. A whirlwind sweeping the keyboard crosswise, kicking the jams, the jelly roll blues, crying, yelling, swelling, banging, mommy. Shaking the house, showering my mind, shivering my spine, sliding into my soul, salivating my tongue, sunlight on my shoulders, mommy. Startling me awake, the surprise rhythm in my face, soaking me silly with sound, music, music, music sinking into my memory, mommy. Searching for her energy, still there, subsisting forever, always somewhere in my mind, mommy. Thank you.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hey,
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. I thought you couldn't. My name is Don Collier. am a retired railroad worker, and I have been bouncing around different senior centers for writing workshops and congregate lunches. So this is a piece I wrote about a favorite uncle of mine's when I was a child. It's called 1962 Road Trip. I got the feeling there's a roadblock down this road. I'm going to take the back roads, declared my Uncle Roy. The local sheriff's roadblock was just as much a custom in these parts as driving around with open cans of beer and firearms. It was just a simple matter of inconvenience or not. I saw nothing up ahead, but at the time my head was only slightly higher than the dashboard. I heard my two sisters stirring in the back seat, but what they saw, what they thought, what they were stirring about was no concern of mine. They were just there, two sisters in the back seat. What I want was the hamburgers Uncle Roy had promised to treat us to. In my head, I rehearsed a plea for a vanilla malt and just maybe French fries. These were my favorite three foods. They were not so easily come by. The chain of golden arches was still far from reaching this part of the country. I had tasted one of those over 1 million sold and was unimpressed. Old-fashioned drive-up roadside burger stands was the very best right off the grill burgers and buns, just the right amount of lettuce, tomato and onions, a touch of mayonnaise on the bun, but not the patty. A piece of lettuce should be between the two, and ketchup to smother the fries. So with this great concerns, I asked, why? Because this is something they just do to mess with people. And I don't want to be bothered with them. I know all these back roads and we'll just go around them. Okay, I said, I knew that white police, black police being a rarity, were mean people not to be trusted. Black police, I soon learned, were no different. I figured it was not running. My mom had told me never to run from the police because they would because they would shoot a black boy. I didn't matter what you did or didn't do, don't run, she said. Tell them you need your mother and keep your mouth shut after that. And don't give them any lip and make them mad. Uncle Roy was not running, he was avoiding, that's okay. Uncle Roy was a sophisticated man of the world. He knew when to avoid and when not to run. He was the only black man that we knew in the US Air Force. And top of all of that, he did paperwork, not sweat work. He traveled the world from Germany to Merced, California. As I grew older, grew embarrassed about his strong patriotism. He would say, the white Jim Crow segregationists are un-American, and we Negroes were the only true patriots defending democracy. He smoked a pipe with fragrant tobacco. He cared for his pipe with the most interesting assortment of tools to keep the pipe fresh. The pocket knife-sized stainless steel tool was a 3-in-1, tamper to pack tobacco in the bowl, a small pick and knife to remove encrusted ash. There was an old silver lighter shaped like a large tube of lipstick. Pulled apart the connected halves, opened a fire chamber in the center. Most intriguing was the slender white bristle wire stems that traveled up the shank. When withdrawn, the white was gradations of brownness reaching towards a gooey black tar tip. He was the only man who did such a thing. Cigarette smoking had little refinement in comparisons to Uncle Roy's pipe. He wore dress pants and dress shirts, polished shoes with silk socks and a whiff of Old Spice cologne. All this dressed a frame of muscle, dark brown skin, clean, shiny nails, and a fresh haircut. How did he keep his clothes so clean and pressed at all times? Uncle Roy's women came and went with regularity. I had an older sister who did this work until wash and wear clothes came along. After this, I always wore my clothes a little wrinkled. Nobody but me seemed to notice. All other family adults, uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents, my parents too, showed their country roots. If they lived in the city, they had a look, a sign of sorts that said, I just got here from the country. If they lived in the Northeast or North or like us, California, this sign would have a ticker. I'm from the South. Their lives were more accustomed to outhouses and wood-burning stoves pulling up with well water. Indoor plumbing and gas heat was new in their lives. But Uncle Roy seemed he had lived all his life knowing nothing of outhouse stink, heating water on the stove for the tin bathtub, snakes and mice everywhere. He seemed to be quite different, and he was. He had my full trust as far as the roadblock went. Uncle Roy was not the type to cross the law. He was a military man, extremely patriotic. His hatred of the Jim Crow South was that it was un-American. As the car turned off the blacktop main road and on the back roads kicking up gravel and dust, I had my misgivings. There would be no burger stands down this way, that much I knew. If anything appeared, it would be a juke joint with cold drinks and barbecue. I preferred a hamburger with the works to such fare any day, but I did not complain. Uncle Roy always kept his promise, especially treats for his kids. I kept a diligent eye out for any prospect. We rode up and down the gentle rolling hills of Middle Tennessee, around curves thick with trees. The road appeared to end at these curves, only to present itself again after the turn. The sound of rubber meeting gravel rock was soothing. The woods were impenetrable with green and shadow overlapping. Then I spied an open space just ahead. Promise. Sniffed the air for the inviting aroma of burger. What came instead was another inviting, wonderful smell. Tobacco leaves drying. The tobacco barn stood off to the right in the clearing, front and back fully open, the sides half open. To smell air-cured tobacco fragrant and sweet, to see the rich broad leaves is a delight. However, it was no substitute for burgers. We drove on and on. Then finally, gravel gave way to blacktop, a main road, a sure sign of a promise fulfilled. Confident that the roadblock was behind us, we drove on. More woods thick with green and shadows. An expansive lawn this time was a single-story red brick house. The red brick house meant that the family were doing well. The same size wooden house painted white was a notch down. The family must be white, as this rural area surely was. Black homes were smaller and unpainted wood. The more prosperous Black family home was a little bigger, still wood, but painted white. White brick for Blacks was middle class. They were counted in ones and twos. We drove on under the green and shadow of woods, black asphalt stretching forward for us to catch up to, only stretch out more, even curving this way and that. There's one I spotted, a roadside stand, a semicircular painted red, several service windows facing a small, hard dirt parking lot. Adjacent to it was a gas station, which by its red paint seemed to be part of the business. We can't stop here, Uncle Roy said. Why? Because colored folks are not allowed in this town. But my mind and body were on the little red burger stand. For emphasis, Uncle Roy added, we can't even stop here for gas. He continued to drive on as I looked out for the last glimpse of the stand. We're not going, what if we run out of gas, I asked. We're not going to run out of gas. I was silent. Uncle Roy had the last word. I pondered for years after on this question. What if he ran out of gas in a town that did not allow colored folks? I had no sense of violence. All I knew was the schoolyard fights of children. I imagine walking with Uncle Roy, can in hand, to the pump. A grizzly white man comes out of the gas station store. I ain't going to sell y'all gas. Colored ain't allowed in this town. I smell the aroma of cooking burger patties, but there is no hope now. The car is slowly moving, pushed by Uncle Roy, toward a sign marking the town boundary. I'm in the driver's seat, steering it straight, pretending to drive was my next favorite thing to hamburgers. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. And I wanted to thank Litquake for giving us this platform for our creative writings. One of our prompts was to write Ars Poetica, which is poems about the art of writing poetry. So I have a short one to read called Cars Poetica. This rock just sits there. Words, though, are juicy and can splat. Driving eyes from here to there in nothing flat. Why the sleeping and snoring? Poke it, punch down the gas. Swerve, curve, rock, crack. Palms turn this into that. That's it.
Oh, there I am. Okay. Hi, I'm Irene Kane, AKA Nini. And this is a short reading called A Baby's Name. I was in my late 20s when I saw the 1976 French-Swiss film Jonah, who'll be 25 in the year 2000. The story follows a group of former political activists in their 30s looking back on their lives and the small gains of the social movements in Paris, late 60s. It was funny and warm, spoke to the heart as well as the values and political goals of the 8 friends portrayed, goals I had shared in my striving for social change. Though they expressed their disillusionment, it ended with a sense of hope for the future. I loved the title and thought if I ever have a son, I'd name him Jonah. At age 37, I was pregnant and the name Jonah had stayed with me. My husband liked the name. In his Jewish tradition, a newborn is often named after a recently deceased family member. Grandpa Joe had died earlier that year, and Jonah was a close enough connection to who would have been his great-grandpa. Jonah, friends and family would say, like Jonah in the whale, a biblical name, a survivor. I'd smile and mention the lesser-known film. No girls' names called to us as strongly as Jonah. The elderly women in our neighborhood delighted in predicting the sex of any of the local pregnant women, determined by their years of grandmotherly wisdom and how we carried. Since my full belly was low, they assured me I'd be having a boy. During 6 hours of labor, all seemed to go smoothly until the last stage. I was distressed, my lower back throbbing. I called out to the midwife, "Hillary, my spirits are low." She held my hand, then jumped into action. "A shower, that's what you need," she shouted. Sitting on a small chair, warm water flowed soothingly over my lower back and helped me breathe with each contraction. I felt cared for, loved, supported, but no baby came. The team consulted. It's probably time for Pitocin to promote stronger contractions. I reluctantly agreed. Hospital policy meant being transported by elevator up 4 floors to labor and delivery, leaving the home-like atmosphere of Mount Zion's new birth center. The drug worked quickly. Hold on, little one, I asked. Wait till we're out of the elevator. Baby obliged. Once placed in my arms, tears flooded my cheeks. Baby's eyes met mine. Welcome, 7-pound, 5-ounce Jonah O'Keefe copy, named after a movie. My grandmother, Marion O'Keefe, a widowed working mother and part of a strong matriarchy, and his father, whose immigrant family shortened the Kapalawich name to Copy to hide their ethnic identity and fear of prejudice. Our Jonah turned 19 in the year 2000. He endured our divorce, shared custody with weekly trips across the length of Cesar Chavez Street from Dad's house to mine, and two parents who once loved each other but couldn't make personalities, careers, and life direction work harmoniously for all. A community of neighbors, school friends, other parents, teachers, and sports teams gave stability to our lives. Therapy for Jonah and for me, theater class for him, gave us outlets for pain, anger, disappointment, and struggle. We all made it through some very challenging teen years. Jonah is 42 now, has found a life and a loving partner named Catherine in a small college town in Michigan where his dad grew up and other Copy family remain. Our roles of parent and child have changed, as they often do when parents age. He'll accompany me home from an upcoming surgery and stay for a week while I recover. He's as close in my heart as the day our eyes met in the labor and delivery room. This memory was inspired by a writing class prompt called Blue Whale. Thank you. Okay.
I think I'm next. My name is Irene Sardonis, and I'm from the downtown Oakland Senior Center, and I thank all the wonderful teachers we've had. This piece is called Kathy, the Bead Lady. I remember being in my friend's art studio in Emeryville. She was known as Kathy, the Bead Lady. We met in a Friday morning writing class at the local library. Kathy never told me her age, and I kept a low profile about mine, but I knew we were the only two senior ladies in the group. After class one day, Kathy invited me to have coffee at her place. Around her studio, there were tables filled with colorful beads of blues, greens, reds, and oranges. When I put my hands in the beads, they spoke to me. They made sounds like, oh yes, do that some more. Move me around, hold me in your hand. Kathy loved the sound of her clients moving around her studio with their hands in the bead bins, people selecting the ones to make a necklace or a bracelet. They may be beads, but those baubles were more like sparkling gems. Although I was never one for jewelry, hardly ever wore any earrings or a necklace, still, didn't I have a drawer full of boxes of Cartier and other accessories from Tiffany's that my wealthy sister sent me from New York? Heavens, what would I do with another necklace? Kathy and I always met at her studio. She'd fix me a cup of tea. We'd sit around her table and talk. Her place was like a small art museum. I loved being surrounded by the sparkling beads, the gems, her large pieces of abstract paintings and sculptures. Whenever we met, she always dressed stylishly with bright colored blouses, her face all made up like she had a hot date. Kathy would look at me and say, honey, we have to doll you up. She'd fix my collar. You have to put some color on you, some burgundies, some violets. Kathy would go in her closet and bring out some colorful scarves and drape them around my neck. Try these on, she'd say, patting my face affectionately, and stop wearing black. I missed the signs that she wasn't doing well. She canceled some of our meetings to see doctors and take tests. Too late, she was diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia. When she started chemo and radiation treatments, she canceled our coffee dates. Kathy lost all of her gorgeous, thick red hair. The vibrant scarves around her head could hide her bald head, but it could not cover her depression. Eventually, Kathy stopped seeing me and other friends. Kathy is gone now, yet I remember her art studio, the squishing of the beads in my hands, fingers touching and playing with the marble-like globules, the sound of their click, click, click. Now, I regret never asking Kathy to make something creative for me, a necklace I could just toss over my head, to touch the beads as though they were religious objects, and remember how loved I felt when Kathy and I were together. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sue Steinauer. I belong to the Downtown Oakland Senior Center, and I did want to thank everybody at Litquake for this reading and also for the classes and the inspiration that have been provided for me over the past 2 years. My piece is called Full Disclosure. The couple came to the Realtor's open house, eager to inspect our bedrooms, closets, 1.5 baths, kitchen, and of course, the full basement below the entire living space. In the living room, they rolled a marble from one corner of the polyurethane wood floor to the opposite one to check if the floor was level. In the bathroom and kitchen, they inspected the tile and grout, electrical fixtures, asked about the electric amperage, and if we had solar energy and electric car charging capabilities. On the front porch, they admired the 2 Hinoki cypress trees, which softened the view to the busy street. And because this house on the south side of the street is raised, once inside, they could see that it felt like being inside a treehouse. I did not tell the couple that when new windows were installed, they had to be jerry-rigged to fit. Since its construction over 100 years ago, this whole old house has few corners that are 90 degrees. The house has settled with every earthquake, and there are latches on doors that have never met the strike plate. As money would permit, improvements have been made. It feels boastful to explicitly list the restorative fixes out loud: removal and replacement of the asbestos-encased furnace, the knob and tube wiring, the turnkey alarm system, which ceased working shortly after move-in, the double-hung windows whose cords had snapped so that on hot days, to get air, I would place an unopened food can between the window's bottom rail and the sill, the rebuilt brick chimney damaged in the Loma Prieta earthquake that started to drop bricks upon the painters, the restored garden shed whose original floor joists were all but consumed by termites. I quietly welcome all looky-loos and the serious-minded potential buyers, although to have them ogling the interior feels like they are in my underwear drawer. I don't mention the years of sweat equity and money my husband and I have expended, nor my favorite part of the house. In the kitchen, the 3 walls of brightly colored tiles from Flat Earth Tile in New Mexico, no longer in business. Across these walls, chicks hatch from broken shells and roosters roam the light green tiles, etched with crosshatch to resemble chicken wire, along with bok choy, blueberries, watermelon, and figs. The odd fish or sea creature also appear, a bit incongruously, as the company was going out of business and needed to unload its inventory. When the couple reached the middle bedroom, we don't talk about what went on here. The hospital bed that replaced the queen-size one as my mother regressed to crib-like containment, her heart failing along with her other organs, morphine no longer working to offer a brief reprieve from reality,
Her last morning, finding her dead in the bed and waiting to call Pacific Interment Mortuary. Dreading the removal of the body, the mortuary trolley carried through the living room to the front door, bumping down the steps beneath the Hinoki cypress trees and rolling into the general purpose black minivan waiting at the curb, making a show for the neighbors. How my daughter Sarah came and we tried to clean the body, but my mother was hard to move and getting stiff. Sarah wanting to go to the mortuary so her grandma would not feel alone. We don't talk about what went on here. The couple admired the room. They liked the warm gold and orange light of the Tiffany flush mount ceiling fixture and the recessed ceiling lights, the funny little closet with its own small double hung window and shade. We move on to revisit the larger bathroom with its shower and tub. They don't want to act too eager, but I can tell they like the bidet and the radiant floor and the heron on the shower wall tile. They ask about the neighbors, and I shine them on. On the west side is a couple with a real entitlement issue who don't want a toe of a sneaker, other than their own, stepping on their driveway. Bill's house is on the east side, abandoned for over a year, the site where 16 rats were caught by capable exterminators last spring. The couple ask if there are any conditions I need to disclose. Mum's the word, I say to myself silently. Not really, I answer. Thank you.
Aha. It's much easier to spotlight others than yourself. Just wonderful, everyone. Those were all of our readers. I just can we just take one second and maybe all unmute and give some cheers if you're at home, like disturb your neighbors. Yeah. Oh no. Exactly. Even if you're watching this at a 3 a.m. and you're in the back of a Denny's, just do it, Yeah, fantastic work. And so that's I think all of this is really just a testament to the importance of just of story, and I mean that in all forms, whether it's a poem, whether it's an essay, whether it's a piece of nonfiction, whether it's a piece of fiction, whether it's a fictionalization, whether it's a dance or about a dance. It's a story, and that's really we come into the world as stories that other people tell about us. We leave the world as the stories that other people tell about us, and everything in between is a story. And so this is really all just a testament to story and to life. And so and in that, and this is where we are now and here today, October 20th 2023. It's been since the end of 2017 when this all began and founded by one Jesse Scrimsher Calloway, who I'm absolutely certain if she's not streaming it live right now, we'll be watching this soon, because it really Elder Project all kind of began from just Jesse's sense of love for one, people, two, stories, three, the intersection of all of these, and elders, and then three, the intersection of all of these things, and just kind of kind of, was doing grant writing for, for Litquake, and was like, hey, if I wrote a grant for this thing, and it got accepted, could I do it? And that, and she did, and it did, and we are. And that speaks to the quality of a lot of things. One, spirit of Litquake in general, just kind of springing up, over 20 years ago, and creating this sort of seismic shift. And it also speaks to, what we can all do is, just take that chance, platform others, support, support story. And so, yeah, one more time, litquake.org. There's a little support us button. It's not even a giant button. It's not multicolored. It's not going to pop up as an ad. It's not going to, if you go to the site and try to leave, it's not going to make it go away, but you can go and you can contribute either a one-time donation or a recurring one. And yeah, help keep stories alive. Come out for, if you're watching this on the 20th, come out to Lit Crawl tomorrow. That's going to be going on 3 different phases all over the Mission District. Go to litquake.org and check the schedule there. There's more events happening today, including poetry at Grace Cathedral. So many things happening. Like Graham said at the top, there's tomorrow's the final day and there's still 45 events happening until then. So hope to see you in the space. One more thank you to all of the writers.
Thank you to you, Kevin. Thank you.
And yeah, and take us out.
Thanks so much. Everyone is great readers.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, Tam, and